Okay, nobody point out this unpainted fingernail or I'll be mad. I know it's not painted. Don't point it out or I'll be mad at you. Hello, and welcome back. I'm saying that more to myself than to you because I have been procrastinating super hard this week, and I don't know, I'm always just impressed when I beat the clock. So I'm impressed that I'm back. Welcome back, you two. My name is Alexandra. This is Saturn-ruled 9, and this week we are talking about week 6 of charity season of The Bachelorette. This is hometown week. Which is, for anyone that doesn't watch the show or for anyone who is new to the show, this is the week where Charity goes to everybody's individual hometown. She gets to meet the family. She gets to contextualize them in a larger environment. But before that, I actually do have a plug. My friend Josh Levine is from the Enneagram school. Him and I are hosting an attachment support group through the Enneagram school. This is going to be an 8-week group, an 8-week course. That is not going to be very pedagogical. We're not going to do much teaching in it. It's going to be more about exploring the attachment dynamic and the attachment system within yourself. We're going to be going over things like the pitfalls of attachment, as well as the gifts of attachment. We'll be exploring how to cleanse each center of any external influence so that you can use your adaptability, your flexibility, your malleability to its highest potential. As you guys already know, I am a triple attachment myself. My friend Josh is also a triple attachment, so we have a lot of enthusiasm and passion behind this. We think it's going to be a very strong experience. The style of the group, as I said before, is going to be less of a lesson and more of a group experience. There's going to be a lot of sharing, a lot of processing, a lot of opening up. And of course, because it is an attachment type group, it is going to be limited to people that are attachment cores. So your 9s, 6s, and 3s will be welcome. You're welcome to have a hexad fix, so DJs are allowed in here too, as long as they are 9s or 3s. For more information, you can visit theenneagramschool.com, and also be on the lookout for Big Hormone Enneagram podcast. There's going to be an episode coming out where we talk about the group more in depth, and see if you're excited. Check out the website, and we'd love to see you there. All right, now getting into the episode, there is both a lot to talk about and not a lot to talk about. Everybody left in the season. Charity, Aaron, Joey, who else is there? Dotun and Xavier, the two main ones. I believe everyone's a 9-wing-1. I believe everyone is probably a triple attachment also, so they have 6 and 3 fixes as well. So the dynamics we're going to explore in this episode are all similar, but different manifestations of really the same thing. Let's get into it. Okay, so we are starting with Aaron B. His hometown date will be in Houston, Texas, and we're going to meet his family. Pretty immediately, we're reminded that he had the first one-on-one, but we're also given the perspective that it was all the way at the beginning of the season, so like 5 weeks ago now. So both Charity and Aaron are kind of nervous because it's been a long time since they've been able to sort of reify and reignite the connection they had on that first date. So meeting the family is going to be really important. Okay, then we cut to the family. There's a ton of food, like really delicious looking food. There's like gumbo, there's fried lobster and chicken. There's some like delicious looking pasta thing. I really love food. And everybody greets the two of them really warmly. It's really nice. Aaron and his brother seem to have some sort of understanding that Aaron was going to give his brother like a look if Charity ended up being a significant person, and then they exchanged that look. So then Aaron and his brother go talk, and they have like a cute moment. Their brother, I can't remember his name. He seems a little performative, like he's really enjoying playing brother in front of the camera. And he basically just tells Aaron that he has his full support, which Aaron seems really moved by. They have this like brotherly moment where they both end up tearing up, which generally starts the theme of Aaron receiving support by his family and being relaxed by that. We cut to Aaron's mom and Charity meeting, and Aaron's mom really likes Charity, which is not a surprise to me, as Charity really seems like she was specifically designed to meet people's parents. And then we cut to Charity and Aaron's dad. His dad is like really warm and lovely, but my God, that man is a 9. They really just talk about family dynamics and hominess and Christmassy stuff. And okay, Aaron's dad likes Charity too. Yay. I personally knew that Charity was going to get along with the parents, so I think the real juice of these hometowns are going to be the men with their own parents. These are their original attachments, their original sources of attention and love and guidance and protection and orientation, all that kind of stuff. So let's go right into Aaron. Aaron's dad sits with him, and he starts off just by really glowing on Charity. He says she's a smart, articulate woman and just really conveys how impressed he is with Charity, which Aaron, you can see right away, takes it super to heart. He feels like relieved almost. You can see it in his face. Aaron tells his dad that throughout his life, he's just wanted his dad's approval and to make him and his mom proud, and that his support has meant everything to him. And they get up and hug, and Aaron cries, and this just starts the real theme of Aaron's attachment pattern to his parents. Aaron literally tells the camera that he's been seeking his dad's approval for years, and that this is something he's been waiting to hear. I do think that the kind of physical release that we're seeing from Aaron, him getting emotional, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I saw him physically be relieved to hear that he had the support and approval of his parents. And to me, this was an obvious manifestation of his attachment patterns. The 9 fix wants acceptance from his parents. The 6 fix wants support. And the 3 fix wants admiration and approval. So of course he's emotional. Aaron does seem to be a bit more fixated than the other. Well, I guess maybe Joey. Joey seems pretty fixated too, but we'll get there. Aaron and Joey seem to be, to me, more fixated than Dotun and Xavier do. So he's going to be more sensitive to whatever he's attached to. Okay, so what I thought was interesting here is, the family reconvenes. They all say their final goodbyes. Charity tells the camera that she's really moved by his family, that she can really see herself in that dynamic. But she doesn't say anything about Aaron in particular. It was just a thing to notice. All right, we cut to we cut to Charity and Aaron getting some alone time. They are on a football field, which I have to assume is his high school football field. They're wearing Letterman jackets, and they're just talking about how the day went. At some point, he plays the song that was played on their original one-on-one date, and this is very moving to Charity. She ends up crying. It's just a sweet moment. Oh, and then, of course, Aaron tells Charity that he's falling in love with her. Charity also tells the camera that if it's them at the end, she knows that she will have nothing to worry about. Okay, let's talk about this. So we know that the show is expedited. We know that it's in a vacuum. We know that there are factors that make this show not realistic. The emotional terrain is very influenced, and so let's just pretend none of that exists, and then we're just going to take this at face value. I do not believe that Aaron is actually falling in love with Charity. I think he likes her. I think that what we watched there was Aaron's parents being approving of Charity, and the strangeness of the situation offering Aaron an opportunity to receive approval from his parents that he clearly has not otherwise gotten. They both told him that they're proud of him, and he was clearly super affected by that. I think that the emotional consequence of this is Aaron equating Charity with approval from his parents. They approve of her, and by proxy, they approve of him, which is something he's always wanted. Now, this, of course, isn't to take away from Charity or any kind of parental projection connection that the two of them have together, but I do think that that's what's happening. He's putting together Charity, parent love, and now he's securing that resource by telling her that she's in love with him, by telling her that he's in love with her. There we go. Okay, and then for Charity's side, we hear her talking about how great Aaron is and how meeting his family put him in a larger context where she could see just how great he is. But we didn't hear much of her affectedness. And what I mean by this is her nerves, her hopes, her excitement. All we really hear is evaluation on character and the pragmatics of what they would look like together. But as far as the sexual instinct goes, we really didn't hear any comment on that, and we didn't see any comment on that either. This is something important to emphasize because I'm not sure what the draw is. What is pulling her into Aaron? It seems like there's nothing. She just sees niceness, a nice family, a nice man, but what is pulling her towards him besides the practicals of a good person? And I can see her doing that because I fucking did that shit before this current relationship. That is how I made my decisions on relationships. It's not advisable. Okay, now we move on to the second hometown, which is in Collegeville, Pennsylvania. Now we're meeting Joey's family. Charity starts by telling the camera that Joey told her that he's in love. So bad at pronouns. Joey told her that he's falling in love with her last week. Okay, did it. And that if everything goes well this week, she's going to say it back to him. But it's contingent on the hometown date and meeting the family and everything. It's contingent on all of that going well. They meet up, and already the energy is so different. She's jumping up and down. She's making jokes. She's squishing his face. She's giggling in his face. This is a pretty drastic difference from how she was with Aaron, and this is exactly what I was talking about with the sexual instinct. Like, she's clearly pulled towards Joey. I don't know why, but she's clearly pulled towards Joey in a way that she is not pulled towards Aaron. And this is literally exactly how you can see it. So they do their little solo date before they meet the family, and they go to like a tennis field. Not field, what's it called? A court, a tennis court. And he gives her a tennis lesson because he's a tennis player, coach. He's a tennis person. She tells the camera that he was cute before, but that he's even cuter in his element, which makes him the cutest. Again, this is like more reinforcement of the fact that she does have sexual attraction to Joey. The sexual instinct is present in her dynamic with Joey in a way that I don't think it was with Aaron, which is weird because I find Aaron way more attractive than Joey visually. But yeah, she tells the camera that a different side of her comes out with Joey, that she's like giddy and flirty and playful, which makes sense. A hot guy like standing behind you teaching you tennis, like of course she's giddy and playful. Throughout this lesson, Joey is just like polished and charming and smooth, so of course she's just eating it up. Okay, then Joey's Uncle Joe Joe and Joey comes and crashes the date, and they just continue their lesson, but he's there now too. I guess Uncle Joe was Joey's coach, and so he seemed to be pitched as like a primary figure in Joey's life, possibly more so than his parents. Joey seems more affected by Uncle Joe than he did his mom or dad. Okay, so they're all hanging out, they're all engaging. Uncle Joe tells the camera that something is off with Joey, but he can't quite pinpoint it, which begins a theme that I think is really interesting when it comes to Joey's hometown. Charity and Joey sit down together and have a little talk before going to meet the family, and as usual, Joey is saying all the right things. They're all Hallmark card cliches, and Charity just eats it up as like super sincere. And I'm not saying Joey's not sincere. I just don't think he's in his body saying the things that he's saying. I think he's kind of being run on a program, which is what the Enneagram does to you anyway. His entire presence is just to be affirming and comforting, and that's it. He's just a human support animal. Another thing to notice is that Charity does go a little harder in the affection than Joey gives back to her. Did I say Joey? I hope I said Charity. At some point, she talks about her nerves, and she says, yeah, it shows that I care a whole lot, and she's really enthusiastic about it. And Joey's response is to kind of stay neutral and calm and just smooth, like a duck over the surface of the water. All right, it's time to meet the family. They go in, they meet everybody, nice, warm, usual welcome. There's no food this time, which I noticed. And then Joey's sister takes Charity for some one-on-one time. There wasn't much here. The sister just asks what makes Joey stand out, and Charity basically just says that they're comfortable together. She also does tell his sister that she's falling in love with Joey, which is interesting because she doesn't end up telling Joey that. Then we cut to Joey and his mom strikes me as a 6 immediately. Is based off of literally a gut impression and no analysis, but I got 6 just based on the fact that Joey's energy seems to be responding to her in a way that is trying to calm her down, which just always strikes me as a 9-6 dynamic. She just seems kind of anxious and looking for comfort within her son, and he seems really activated with the task of giving it to her. Here's that continued thread. The mom mentions to Joey that if he's just being real and himself, that Charity will surely fall in love with him, to which Joey responds, what, do you not think I'm being real and myself? He says, I don't doubt the process and I don't doubt Charity. You know how much I've wanted this. You know how much I've talked about this for so long. The fact that I'm right here, right now, and bringing her into this home, like, that's all you should know. I don't know what that's supposed to tell us, but he's really emphatic about letting us know that. Like, wanted what for so long? To find love? To get married? To be on The Bachelorette? This whole part strikes me as, like, I don't know. I think Joey's being framed to be the next Bachelor, and that's why we're getting literally nothing specific from him at all. He's just Hallmark boy. Bermuda Hallmark boy. Okay, next we have Joey sitting down with his Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe says, my biggest concern with you is, are you portraying yourself or are you portraying someone that she wants? Like, come on. We've been down this road a ton. Has this experience been about you being you? How confident are you that you've been your most genuine self? I don't know how much I need to talk about this, but Uncle Joe is pointing out the pattern that Joey gets attached to somebody and then just transforms who he is in order to stay within the approval of whoever he's attached to. If we compare Joey to Aaron, Joey seems more active and more assertive in that transformation. Aaron seems to be a lot more passive and like he's just going to fit into the atmosphere. I wonder if Joey's a 3. I don't think he's a 3, but he definitely has more 3 than Aaron does. Uncle Joe tells the camera, if there's a fear I have, it's that Joey's a bit of a pleaser. He can kind of become someone that somebody wants him to be, and I just want to see him in a relationship where he can be 100% himself. Oh, and Joey, while he's responding to Uncle Joe, just stays smooth and polished and clean and just calm the whole time. To me, this confirmed my suspicions from the New Orleans date when I said that he's just giving generic nothings through a charming facade, and we don't actually know what's going on for him. Whether or not Uncle Joe is right, he was able to give a dead-on concern for triple attachments in relationships. That is, especially social types, that is the automatic impulse to transform and be whoever your partner or your parent or your teacher or whoever is significant to you as a social type in order to be whoever you think they want you to be. Not that I would know anything about this. Moving on, I did think this was kind of shitty. I did think it was kind of shitty that Uncle Joe said this to Charity. Like, it seemed a little invasive, but whatever. Charity sits down with Uncle Joe and asks him if he thinks that Joey, so many Joes, if he thinks that Joey is ready to be a husband. There we go. And Uncle Joe says, quote, I don't know. If there's been a challenge in our relationship, it's that he's often trying to be who he thinks I want him to be. And then he tells Charity that he got a vibe that Joey wasn't totally comfortable or totally being himself, and then asks Charity, do you think you've gotten the real genuine Joey? This obviously unnerves Charity because, of course, I think when people hear this kind of thing, they think of intentionality and malice and deceit and manipulation, where what it really is, what I've been picking up on and what I think Uncle Joe is commenting on is that this is just an automatic impulse as a way to secure his attachment. He's just transforming in order to continue being loved and wanted and accepted by whoever he's engaged with. This is very standard triple attachment traits and abilities. A reminder again, triple attachment is any combination of 6, 3, and 9. I don't know why I did that order, but in Joey's case, I think he's a 9-3-6 and I'm a 9-6-3. But yeah, they are the chameleons of the Enneagram. So shape-shifting in front of your face is really easy, but we only do it because we think you will like us more that way. To get into this a little further, and I did explain this earlier in the season, I'll try to find that and link it or whatever you do here. Attachment is the strategy of aligning yourself to your object's position or location. In 9, it is adapting to their sense of comfort. The priority is keeping them comfortable. In 6, it's aligning to their perspectives, making sure you guys have the same outlooks and ways of thinking, making sure your perspectives are pointing in the same direction is important for 6. And 3 is adapting in order to align with their values. Having all 3 in one trifix makes a person extremely adaptable, but it also puts them at risk of shape-shifting so easily that they lose their center, that they have a hard time coming back home to what their original origin point is. This is what Uncle Joe is seeing in Joey. He is so automatically adapting to Charity as his focal point that he doesn't even realize he's not being himself. Or at least that's Uncle Joe's perception of what's going on, but he's probably right. I said this at the top, but I think everybody that's left on the show is 369, that trifix. So, of course, the way this trifix manifests is going to be different from person to person. We see Aaron's manifestation is more self-effacing. We see Joey is a little bit more assertive in it, a little more chameleonic. And then I think for Xavier and Dotun, it's just staying really palatable. Anyways, this freaks Charity out so much that she doesn't end up saying that she's falling in love with him too. They leave on kind of an awkward position. She's crying. She says she's going to miss him. Joey picks up that she's sad, but can also sense that it's kind of something more, even though it doesn't get spoken about. So they kind of leave on an awkward foot, and that starts to mess with Joey's head. Okay, date number 3. We are in Cleveland, Ohio to meet Xavier's family. Right away, he's just so wholesome. He's starting to be so cute to me. He looks like a little mouse, especially when he smiles. They take their alone time date, and he takes her to a yarn store. He takes her to a knitting class and immediately says the most self-present shit ever. He says stuff like, when I feel stressed, I like to knit. Ease the mind. Super chill, super relaxed. He uses knitting as a metaphor to fall in love. He says stuff like, you have to be slow and careful and patient. And yeah, I mean, it's just a poster for 9ness. Charity seems to love this wholesome side of him. I think she's just so attracted to him that she has kind of been putting a fuck boy energy on him, especially with the projection from her ex. And for whatever reason, this date is really contextualizing how wholesome he actually is and how this chillness is just her finding him attractive and not him being some sketchball. All right, now it's time to meet the family. I thought this clip was funny, just watching Xavier walk up to the house with this like toothy smile, his little toothy mouse smile. He tells the camera that he wants to fall in love with Charity and that he wants to understand the vow that his dad gave to his mom. Okay, they go inside to meet everyone. It's really cute. He's super sweet with his whole family. Everybody's really excited. They just seem really, seem very cute. The highlights here are that Charity sits down with his sister and asks if Xavier is ready for commitment. She immediately says yes. Charity and his mom sit down, and his mom asks what she likes about Xavier, what stands out about Xavier. And Charity says his gentleness, how comfortable they are together, how easy it is that they can be themselves, and that it takes a special person for this like easy revealing of self to come out. Charity asks his mom if he's ready, and his mom said yes, he's ready to be married. He wants to be a dad. His only fear and reservation is the pacing of the show, which Charity seems to just take at face value and not have any issue with. Then Xavier sits down with his dad, and Xavier really just wants to survey his dad. He wants to get his opinion on how to know whether something is everlasting love. How does he know that it's going to last? How does he know that it's true love? And his dad, who might be even more 9 than Xavier, says it's just a feeling. It's just a knowing. He tells Xavier to love unconditionally and then asks him if he thinks Charity could be that person. Xavier says he thinks that he can get there with Charity and then asks his dad what he thinks and feels about him and Charity and if he thinks that Xavier is ready. So already kind of an interesting dynamic. Xavier is surveying his parents. He's pulling their opinions in order to help clarify his position as opposed to insecurely responding to them the way that Aaron did with his parents. Anyway, his dad just talks about how great Charity is, and he reflects on what he sees as Xavier's connection to Charity. They laugh together, they make each other feel good, and basically just confirms that he sees a connection and that he believes Xavier is ready. Then Xavier sits down with his mom to basically get the same kind of questions answered, and his mom says that he's never seen him like this and that she sees that him and Charity are connected. Sister also loves Charity, and Xavier is really affected by this. He's really surprised. He seems to think that his sister has a more scrutinizing side to her. So the fact that Charity won her approval also gives him a ton of confidence. Yeah, he's just so cute. He's just like a little teddy bear, especially within his family. Okay, I've been saying this already, but I think it's important to compare Aaron to Xavier. Xavier's very pragmatic, and this pragmatism comes out especially with his family. To me, where Aaron used his parents to tell him what to do, indirectly of course, I think Xavier used his parents to reflect and confirm and kind of fact check what he was already thinking. He used them as support. Yeah, not to go into attachment theory, but I think that Aaron is insecurely attached to his parents. Where to me, Xavier seems more securely attached to his parents. He can take his parents' feedback as complimentary to his own opinions, where I think Aaron still really fears judgment from his parents. This is not his family's fault. I think it's just his own predisposition. He hasn't individuated enough. He hasn't made decisions as his own autonomous being, despite what his parents might think. He hasn't practiced that muscle enough to be able to see his parents' feedback as complimentary and actually supportive. He still seems to see his parents' feedback as a standard he has to meet. Anyway, now Charity and Xavier sit down together, and they basically just talk about how well that went, and he opens up and says that he's falling in love with her. Then they tongue each other down as usual. And yeah, the energy's so different. He's just so chill and affirming and securing. Charity hugs him and says, "I don't want this day to end." And he's like, "Yeah, well, today has to end, but then we still have tomorrow." And she's like, "Oh my God, okay, that's cool." Especially if you compare this to the anxiety and sadness that she left Joey with, even if it's not Joey's fault. Okay, last date. Now we are in Fresno, California, and we are meeting Dotun's family, which is I'm the most excited for. We're thrown kind of a curveball right in the beginning because Dotun tells Charity that his parents go to Nigeria every year and that this year they just couldn't make the trip work, and so Charity's not going to meet his parents. She's just going to meet his brothers and sisters and grandma, I think? Yeah, grandma. Okay, they go to the house, they meet everybody, it's all very cute, very affectionate, very warm, very supportive. They go into the kitchen where the grandma is there and she's cooking and she's just African as fuck, really affectionate and just very cute. Everyone sits down to start eating and chatting, and then, woo, surprise, Dotun's parents show up, which is super cute. Dotun has a really cute reaction to this. He hugs her mom and picks her up. It's cute. And this series of conversations is much faster, so I'm just going to give you the highlights. Dotun's mom asks him if he's falling in love, and Dotun says, I'm waiting for my brain to match my heart. My heart is falling, but when they finally match up, then I'll know it's really something, like true love or whatever he says. Dotun's sister tells Charity, yes, you are seeing the real Dotun. This is a question Charity asks because Joey freaked her out, and so now she has to confirm this with the other families. And anyway, she got the approval here. She's good. She's seeing the real Dotun. His dad tells her, yes, he's ready to propose. His brother tells her that he's a long-term guy and that he's a very faithful person in relationships. Like, the whole thing is framed up like a fairy tale to the point where there's actually not that much to comment on. Charity and his mom sit down. She cries in front of her. Charity cries in front of the mom, talking about how grateful she is to meet her, which the mom, of course, loves. The mom is just fabulous. She tells Charity that if Charity chooses her son, then she will whisk her away to Nigeria and give her a big wedding, and that she's already adopted her as a daughter, and oh my God. So yeah, the family meeting was amazing. And then Charity and Dotun go off on their own date. They take like a fancy car, classic car, off to a drive-in where they watch home videos of each other as children. And then there's like a compilation of their time together on the show. Again, it's just very fairy tale. Dotun's whole date, there just isn't much to comment on. It's just framed by the show as like a perfect fairy tale. Okay, now we're done with all 4 hometowns. Jesse Palmer, the host, finally makes an appearance, does his 15 minutes of work for the day, and just has a little conversation with Charity where they recap the 4 dates that we just watched. So why do we have to recap these? But the only thing to pull from this is that Charity likes them all more now, and this has actually made her decision to send someone home even more difficult, which I thought was kind of a funny thing on 9s, being able to see the beauty and the value and everything, and then of course struggling to let someone go because of it. All right, it is the rose ceremony time now. And we introduce all the men one by one. Dotun comes in looking perfect. Joey comes in looking like a cabbage patch, but he's a little anxious. Xavier comes in looking sleepy and charming. And Aaron comes in super handsome. I think he's the most handsome of the 4 men. His energy is not it for me, but he's like aesthetically the most beautiful. Then Charity comes in looking super glamorous. There's like a modest glamour that she has to her that I think is just beautiful. And then she's already crying to the cameras about having to let someone go. She gives her little speech. She's crying already, and she starts to hand out the roses. The first one goes to Dotun, duh. The next one goes to Xavier, also duh. And then the last one goes to Joey, which I was lukewarm about. I can't believe I actually wanted Aaron to get the rose. What a turn of events from the time that he was Braden's opponent, and I couldn't stand him. Yeah, I wanted Joey to go home. He's just not there. He's just a mannequin. But whatever, she wants to give it to him, so she gave it to him. So this means that Aaron is going home. Then they walk off to have their little breakup talk, and Aaron looks genuinely sad. He takes it, sad 9, big sad 9. He is very gracious about it. Charity is like in tears because she's having to send someone that she thinks did nothing wrong home, and then he goes home. That is the end of the episode. The teaser for next week, they are in Fiji. Now I'm sick of Joey's voice, which is, I guess I just have to dislike somebody. Somebody comes back, and that's it. I forgot the end credits. The end credits are cute. They were of Dotun's mom giving Charity all of this like jewelry and gifts from Nigeria, and she's just overflowing with charisma. I think the mom struck me as having 2 and 7 in her trifix. I don't know what her core is, but I think she has 2 and 7 in her trifix. It's just like charisma and positivity and infectious enthusiasm and joyfulness. My mom has 2 and 7 in her trifix, and Dotun's mom reminded me of my mom. Just this abundance of infectious upness. Anyway, that is all. Next week is Fantasy Suites. She will whittle it down to her top 3. Oh no, we're at our top 3. So she will have her Fantasy Suites and whittle it down to her top 2. Yeah, this is a good season so far. Anyway, as usual, let me know your thoughts. Check out the link below if you are interested in the attachment support group. And otherwise, I will see you next week.